How disciplined fighters actually train stress, and why most training never touches this level. Discipline under pressure is not a personality trait. It is not something you are born with. It is a learned physiological response, and it is trained in a very specific way. Most people think discipline means forcing yourself to act despite discomfort, but under real pressure, force collapses. Willpower is a fragile resource. It works in calm environments and disappears when stress is high. This is why discipline cannot rely on motivation. It must rely on conditioning. The nervous system learns through exposure and recovery, not through explanation, not through intention, through repeated experience inside controlled stress. Here is the key principle. You do not train discipline by avoiding stress. You do not train discipline by overwhelming yourself. You train discipline by entering stress at a level you can still regulate and slowly expanding that threshold. This is how elite fighters do it. They do not train chaos randomly. They structure it. Let's break this down. There are 3 layers of stress training that actually work. Most people never go beyond the first. 1. Physiological awareness. Before control, there must be recognition. Most people panic because they do not understand what stress feels like in their body. They notice it too late. Stress has early signs. Changes in breathing, tension in the jaw, tunnel vision, a spike in internal speed. Disciplined fighters recognize these signals early, not because they are calmer, but because they are attentive. Awareness alone reduces panic. When the nervous system recognizes a pattern, it labels it as familiar, and familiarity reduces threat. This is why elite fighters often appear slow. They are not slower, they are less reactive. They notice earlier. 2. Controlled stress exposure. This is where most people fail. They either stay too comfortable or go too extreme. Both approaches block adaptation. Controlled exposure means training under pressure while maintaining technical intent, not perfect technique. Intent. For example, training rounds where fatigue is intentional but decision-making is still required. Sparring where unpredictability increases but panic is not allowed to take over. Time pressure without chaos. Constraint without overwhelm. The goal is not domination. The goal is regulation. Every time you stay functional inside elevated stress, you teach the nervous system something critical. This is survivable. This is manageable. This is familiar. That is how confidence is built, not through wins, through regulation under discomfort. 3. Recovery and reset. This layer is almost never discussed, and it is essential. Stress training without recovery teaches the nervous system to stay activated. That creates burnout, not discipline. Elite performers train their ability to downregulate quickly, to return to baseline, to reset between rounds, between exchanges, between moments. This is why breathing matters, but not as relaxation. Breathing is a way to control. It is the fastest way to influence nervous system state. Disciplined fighters do not breathe to calm down. They breathe to regain access to control. This is the real reason discipline looks effortless. It is not constant tension. It is controlled oscillation, activation, regulation, and activation again. Most people stay stuck in one state, either underactivated and passive or overactivated and reckless. Discipline lives in the transition. This is also why mental toughness cannot be trained by motivation alone. Motivation spikes activation. It does not teach regulation. True discipline is quiet. It does not need hype. It does not need aggression. It shows up when things go wrong. Under pressure, the nervous system does not rise to your ideals. It falls back to what it knows. If chaos is unfamiliar, you panic. If chaos has been trained, you execute. This applies beyond fighting. For example, in business, in competition, in confrontation, in life. Most people train skills. Few train states, and states determine access to skill. In the final part, we will connect everything. Why discipline outperforms talent, why calm beats aggression, and how this mindset applies outside the fight. How discipline is actually built, from the nervous system to real performance. Most people think discipline is about willpower. It's not. Willpower collapses under stress. Discipline survives it. Real discipline is not mental toughness. It is nervous system training. If you don't understand this, you will always lose control when pressure spikes. Here's the core problem. Under stress, the brain does not learn. It reverts to habits, to reflexes, to emotional shortcuts. That's why people fail when it matters. So the real question is not, how do I become more motivated? The real question is, how do I behave when motivation disappears? Elite fighters know this. That's why their training looks boring from the outside. They repeat fundamentals under increasing pressure until calm becomes automatic. Let's break this down into how discipline is actually trained. Step 1. Stress awareness. Discipline starts with recognition. Before stress explodes, the body always sends signals. Breathing becomes shallow, jaw tightens, shoulders rise, vision narrows, movements speed up. Most people ignore these signals. Fighters don't. They train themselves to notice them early, because once stress crosses a threshold, you are no longer in control. Step 2. Controlled exposure. You do not eliminate stress, you dose it. This is where discipline is built. Not in chaos, in controlled difficulty. Examples: technical drills while fatigued, sparring with specific constraints, time pressure with limited options, decision-making under discomfort. The key is this: stress must be high enough to challenge but low enough to maintain control. If you panic, you went too far. If you're bored, it's too easy. Step 3. Regulation, not suppression. Here is where most people fail. They try to fight stress. Elite performers regulate it. They slow their breathing. They loosen their body. They reset posture, not to relax completely, but to stay functional. This teaches the nervous system. I can stay calm inside pressure. That belief is trained, not imagined. Step 4. Recovery speed. Discipline is not about never breaking. It's about how fast you recover. Miss a hit, reset, lose balance, recover, get overwhelmed, return to structure. Every reset strengthens discipline. Every panic response weakens it. Step 5. Transfer to life. This is where everything connects. The nervous system does not separate competition, work, conflict, responsibility. Stress is stress. If you train calm in the gym, you bring calm into life. If you panic in training, you will panic everywhere. That's why fighters with discipline often dominate outside the sport too. Not because they are aggressive, but because they are regulated. The big mistake people make: they chase intensity. They think more hype, more aggression, more emotion equals better performance. It doesn't. It creates volatility. Calm creates consistency. Consistency creates control. Control creates results. This is the difference between someone who looks dangerous and someone who actually is. Practical takeaways you can apply today. 1. Train breathing under effort. 2. Add mild stress to simple drills. 3. Track your physical stress signals. 4. Practice fast resets. 5. Reflect after training, not during. This is discipline, not motivation, not quotes, not hype. Final truth: stress will always come. The question is not if, the question is who you become inside it. If you want to perform under pressure, you don't need more confidence. You need better regulation. If you want deep breakdowns like this, real mechanisms, not surface motivation, subscribe to the channel. The fight is not won by force. It's won by control. Train accordingly.